What's the most important thing for our audience to know this week?
I think probably the big news is still China, Brian, and good morning. Nice to be with you again always. China, I think what the president's been doing in China is actually pretty important. And we're seeing that reaction in the Chinese stock market today. The Chinese stock market up over 1% today tells you that they are dependent on this trade deal, too. So somehow the president really does seem to be making progress here where we haven't made progress in a long time. That's encouraging to Wall Street. That's encouraging to the global economy. It levels the playing field. I think it's going to aid commerce. Bob Lighthizer, I've known for years. He's a very good guy. Bob Lighthizer tells us we have a good deal. You can take that to the bank.
But how much of that's already baked into these markets, Michael? That, I guess, is the question. We had a guest on earlier that said, you know what? If all the subsidies are removed, that will be another leg up for equities.
Well, it will be another leg up for equities, but I think your point there is well taken. How much is already in there? I don't think all of it. I mean, I think that we were very surprised with the president leaving the table at Vietnam. That sent a strong message, I think, to the negotiations with China that the U.S. is not just here to have sort of their moment in the press in their 15 minutes and to dress this up so that Trump can have a victory at home. That isn't what he did. I think we're very serious about this, and I think that that's very encouraging for something more material to actually happen. And in terms of stocks, you know, we're up 11% or so for the year to date in stocks. I think you continue to have to be cautious. You want to make sure that you own stuff with really good balance sheets because I don't think this volatility has left us.
I don't want to throw water on all of our coverage going forward, but how much of all that economic data that we just talked about doesn't matter at all until we get a trade deal?
You know, I think you're right for two reasons. The trade deal's very important, but a lot of the economic data, what we're going to see in the Beige Book, and you also mentioned Target's earnings and Kohl's earnings, those are backward-looking earnings about what happened during the retail season. And we already know that those retail numbers were bad. Maybe Target or Kohl's was able to be the, unicorn, but probably not. They're probably not going to be good numbers. But that was with a consumer who was worried about a 20% market drop and was also worried about a big government shutdown. So you've got a different consumer right now. Consumer's still able. The consumer's still strong, just was having an emotional moment a couple of months ago. So I think you're right. We've got to take a look at what happens with China going forward. I think the Beige Book's important, and I think clearly as long as this unemployment rate stays low, we've got a good consumer and a good economy.
But the CEOs and the CFOs that watch CNBC all day long, they have trouble planning because they don't know what their input costs are going to be because of those tariffs. If they all get removed, doesn't that kind of open it up? Let the bulls out of the gate, so to speak?
Oh, it'll be fabulous. And I mean, this is one thing where we have this sort of okay economy that's doing its 2%. And to your point, Brian, yes, you get rid of these tariffs. You get free trade back on the table. We're better at free trade than any other country in the world. And yes, that's going to show up in our economy, and it's going to be big.
It is going to be big. And what's the biggest risk right now, though, Michael? It's not always rosy.
Well, it's not rosy, and we've seen for years that you really can't trust the Chinese, you can't trust the data, and any one of these negotiations, is trust but verify, and it's very difficult to verify. It's probably going to take a long time. Goldman Sachs is out this morning saying it's probably going to happen in a 3-step process as we go through this, and there are going to be several of them along the way. So I don't think you're going to see any sort of flag fly to say, well, we're just done and we can go forward now. This is going to take a while. But that we're starting, that we're doing something with the Chinese that hasn't been done in decades, I think is very important and very encouraging.